有请中国公共外交协会会长吴海龙主持开幕式，请大家佩戴同传耳机。Please join me in inviting Wu Hailong, President of China Public Diplomacy Association, to moderate the opening ceremony.
各位来宾、各位朋友、
guests,
女士
dear
们、
friends,
先生们，
ladies and gentlemen.
我很荣幸主持今天的
It is a
中
great
国式现代
pleasure
化
for
与
me
世
to
界
moderate
兰亭论
today's
坛的开
opening
幕式。
ceremony on
出
the
席今
Lanting
天
Forum
开幕式
on
的重
Chinese
要嘉宾有
Modernization and the world.
上
Attending
海市委
today's
书记
ceremony
陈吉
are
宁、
His Excellency
国
Chen
务委员
Jining, Secretary
兼
of
外
the
长秦刚、
CPC Shanghai Municipal
巴
Committee,
西前总
His
统、
Excellency State
金
Councilor
砖
and
国
Foreign
家
Minister
新开
Qin
发银
Gang,
行行长
Excellencies
罗塞
New
夫、
Development Bank President
冈比
Dilma
亚外
Rousseff,
交国际合作和侨
Foreign
民事务
Minister
部长
of the
坦
Gambia,
加拉、
Tangara,
埃及前总理
former
萨拉
Prime
夫、
Minister of Egypt,
中共中央
Sharaf,
党校分管日常工作的副校
and
长
Executive
谢
Vice
崇涛
President
等。
of the Central Party School,
兰
Xie
亭论
Chuntao,
坛
etc.
由外交部创办于2010年，
Lanting Forum was launched by the
阐
Ministry
释
of Foreign
和
Affairs
解
in
读
2010.
中国
It
重
is
大
an
外交
important
政策
platform
和外
to
交活动的
communicate
重要
and
平台，
understand China's major
也是
foreign
中外各
policies
界
and diplomatic
有中国外
events.
交政策
It is also
与共同
an
关心的问
important
题
channel
进
for
行
people
交流
around the
的
world to
重要
discuss
渠道。
China's foreign policy
应
and
该论
issues
坛
of shared
过去
interest.
一直在外
The
交部
previous
发布
Lanting
厅，
Fora were
也就
held
是
in
兰
the
亭举办，
MFA's press
故
room,
称之
also
为
known as
兰亭论
Lanting.
坛。
This is where the name of
期间
Lanting Forum
共举
came
办过
from.
21
So
届，
far, 21
已
Lanting
成为
Fora
中国
have been
公共外
held,
交的一
and
个
they have
重要
become
品
an
牌。
important brand of
这
China's
次
public
是论坛
diplomacy.
第一次
This
走
is
出
the
外交
first
部
time
兰
a
亭，
Lanting
在
Forum
上
is
海举
held
办。
outside the MFA's
上
Lanting
海
in
是
the
全
city
面
of
推进
Shanghai.
中国式现代化的重
Shanghai
要城
is
市，
an important city in
也是
advancing
中国与
Chinese
世界
modernization on
交
all
流和
fronts.
交往的
It is also
重要
an
窗口。
important window for
选择
exchanges
上
between
海
China
举办
and
本届论
the
坛，
world.
既
Thus,
是
it is
非
quite
常理
befitting
想
to
之计，
host the forum
也
on
契
Chinese
合论坛的
modernization
主题。
and the world here in
今
Shanghai.
年是中国全面建设
This year
社
marks
会
the
主义
first
现
year
代
of
化
building
国家的
China
开
into
局
a
之
modern
年。
socialist country
中
on
国
all
式现代
fronts.
化的本质和特征，
What are the defining
核心
features
要
and
义
core
是什
tenets
么？
of Chinese
中国式现
modernization?
代化与世界
What is the
有
relevance
什么
of
关联
Chinese
性？
modernization to the
中
world?
国式现代化会
And
给世
what
界带
can
来什么
Chinese
机遇？
modernization bring
这
to
是
the
各
world?
方都十
All
分关
these
心的
are
问题。
issues that are
需
closely
要从
followed
更
by
加
many,
开阔的
and
视
they
野
need
和角
to
度，
be fully
全
discussed
面认识和理
from
解这些问题。
broader perspectives.
这也就是我们举办这次论坛
This is
的
also why
目的所在。
we are having today's forum.
下面首先有请
I now
国务委
invite
员
State
兼
Councilor
外交
and
部
Foreign
长
Minister
秦
Qin
刚
Gang
发
to
表
read
主旨演讲，请
to
大家欢
deliver
迎。
a keynote speech.
尊敬的中共上海市市委书记
Your
陈
Excellency
吉宁阁下，
Secretary Chen Jining,
尊敬的新开发银行行长
Your
罗塞夫女
Excellency
士，
President
尊敬的
Dilma
冈比亚
Rousseff
外长
of the NDB,
坦加拉阁下，
Your Excellency Foreign
尊敬的吴海
Minister
龙会长，
Mamadou Tangara of the
各位使
Gambia,
节、各位来宾、朋
Your
友们，
Excellency President
大家
Wu
上午
Hailong,
好！
Diplomatic envoys, distinguished guests.
很高兴和大家
Good
相聚
morning.
在黄浦
I
江
am very
畔的
pleased to join you
世界会客
at
厅。
the Meet the World launch by
这
the
也
Huangpu
是
River.
兰亭论坛首次走进上海。
This is the first Lanting Forum event in Shanghai.
习近平主席高度重视
President Xi
这次论
Jinping
坛
attaches
的
great
召开，
importance to the opening of this forum
他特意向论坛发来贺信，
and
委
sent
托我
a congratulatory message
在大会上
to
宣
this
读。
event and entrusted me to read it.
贺信全文如下：
The full text of the congratulatory message
值
is as
此
follows.
中国式现代化与世界兰亭论
I
坛
wish
举
to
办之
extend
际，
my hearty
我
congratulations
仅表示
on
热
the
烈祝
opening
贺。
of the Lanting Forum on Chinese
实
modernization
现
in
现代
the
化
world
是近代以来
Realizing
中国人民的
modernization
不懈追求，
is relentless pursuit
也
of
是
the
世界
Chinese
各国
people
人民的
since
共同
modern
追
times
求。
began. It is also the common
一个国家
aspiration
走向
of
现代
people
化
of，all countries.
既要遵
In
循
pursuing
现代化的一般
modernization,
规律
a，country needs to
更
follow
要符
certain
合
general
本国实
patterns.
际，
More importantly,
具
it
有
should
本国特
proceed
色。
from its own realities and develop
中
its
国
own
共产党
features.
团结带领全国各族人民，
After a long and
经过
arduous
长期
quest, the
艰辛
Communist
探索，
Party of China
找
has
到
led
了
the
符合
entire
中
Chinese
国国
nation
情的
in
发展
finding
道
a
路，
development path
正在
that
以
suits
中国
China's
式现代
conditions.
化
We're now
全面推
building
进强
a
国
strong
建设，
country
民
and
族复
advancing
兴。
national rejuvenation on all
中
fronts
方愿
through a
同
Chinese
各国
path
一
to
道，
modernization.
努力
China will
以中国
provide
式
new
现代化新
opportunities
成
for
就，
global
为
development
世界发
with
展
new
提供新机
accomplishments
遇，
in Chinese modernization,
为人类探索现代化道
lend
路
new impetus
和
to
更
humanity's
好社会
search
制度
for paths
提供
toward
新助力，
modernization and
推
better
动构
social
建人类
systems,
命运共同
and
体，
work with all countries to advance the building
祝
of a
论坛
community
取
with a
得
shared future
圆
for
满成功
mankind. I wish the forum a full
中华人民
success.
共和国主席
Xi
习近
Jinping,
平
President of the People's Republic of China,
2023年4月
21st
21
of
号。
April 2023.
以上就是习近平主席贺信的全
This is the
文。
full text of the congratulatory
朋友们，
message from President Xi.
本次论坛的主题
Friends,
是中国式现代化与世界。活
Shanghai
动选址
is
上
the
海，
right place for
非
our
常合
forum,
适。
themed Chinese
常言
modernization
道
and the world.
百年中国看上海。
As is often said, you should go to Shanghai
百
if you
年多
want to
前
know about the last 100 years
中国
of
共产
China.
党就是从这里起
A
航。
little over a century ago, the Communist Party of
一个
China
多世纪来，
started its journey from
上
here.
海不仅见证了
Since
中华
then,
民族的风
Shanghai
风
has
雨雨，
witnessed not only
更
the
见证了
vicissitudes
神
of the
州大
Chinese
地的
nation,
沧桑
but
巨
also the
变。
profound transformation across the
从曾
country.
经的十里洋场
The old Shanghai,
到如今的
dominated by
改革
foreign
开放
powers,
排
is
头兵，
a forerunner today in
从
China's
解放前的
reform
百
and
废
opening.
到待兴，
A bustling
到现
and
在的欣
prosperous
欣向荣。
metropolis has risen from
今天的
devastation
上海
since
作
1949.
为中国最大的经济中
Is
心、
China's biggest economic
创新
and
发展中
innovation
心、
powerhouse
世
and
界
the
经
trading
贸
and
航运
shipping
枢
hub
纽，
of the world.
正走在时代的前
Shanghai
列，
is leading the
立于
trends of
发
our
展的潮
times
头，
and development.
成为中国式现代化
It is
的
a shining
亮丽
hallmark
名片。
of the Chinese path to modernization.
在此呢，我要衷心的感谢
Here, I
陈吉宁
wish
书记和
to
上海市政府
express my hearty
本次论坛活
appreciation
动
to Secretary Chen Jining and the Shanghai Municipal Government for their strong support for
各
this
位朋
forum.
友，树高
Friends
千尺必有根，
A towering
水
tree
流万
grows
里
from its roots,
总有源。
and a long river flows
中国
from
式
its
现代化
source.
的成功，不是从天上掉下来的，
Likewise, our success in Chinese modernization was not handed down from the
而是
heaven
中国共
or
产党
just emerged
秉
by
持
itself.
初心使命，
It has been attained step by step through determined,
一个脚印
painstaking
闯出
efforts
来的。
of the Chinese people
有着深刻
under
的
the leadership
历
of the
史
CPC,
实践
always staying
和
true
理论
to its
逻辑。
founding mission. Chinese modernization is
中国式
deeply
现代
rooted
化
in Chinese history,
是中国
practices,
百
and
年发展历
philosophies.
程的必然选择。
Chinese modernization is the
中国的
natural
现代化
choice of China's
一路走来，
100-year-long quest for
一路
development.
蓝缕，
Modernization for
诠释
China
了
has
苦难
been a
辉煌，
journey of hardship and
承
perseverance,
载着光荣梦
anguish
想。
and glory, honor
近代
and
以来，
dreams.
无数
During the
仁
modern
人志
times,
士
countless
为了
patriots
救亡图存，
looked to the West for a
向西方寻
formula
求
of
现代化出路，
modernization to save the nation,
但都遭遇
but
挫
they
折，
all failed.
未能挽救民族于危难。只有
It
在
was not
中
until
国
the
共产党
birth
诞
of
生
the
后，
CPC in
中国的现代化
1921
事业才有了
that China
重
found
心
the pillar
和带
and
路。
guidance for its modernization.
正是在中国共产党的坚强领导下
It，is under the
我
CPC's
们踏
strong
上了
leadership
独立自主、
that we have embarked on
建
a
设
great
现代
journey
化伟
of
大的征程。
independently building a modern
从一穷
country.
二白
We
成
have
长为
turned
世界
China
第二大经
from
济
an
体、
impoverished and
第
backward
一货物
land
贸易大国、
into the world's second
第一外
largest
汇储备
economy,
大国，
top trader in goods,
制造大国，
biggest holder of foreign exchange
并
reserves,
建成了世
and
界上
biggest
规模最大
manufacturer.
的义务教育
We
体
have put
系
in place the world's
社会
largest
保障
compulsory
体系
education system,
和医疗卫
social
生体系。
security system, and medical
用
and
短
health
短
system.
几十年时间，走
China
完了
has
西方发达
realized
国家几
in
百
a short
年的
span of
工业化
several
历史。
decades industrialization that had taken developed countries several centuries. We have caught up with the
中国
times
式现代化
in great strides.
是全面推进中华民族伟大复
Chinese
兴的
modernization
必
is the
然要求
natural。requirement for promoting national rejuvenation
党的
on
18
all
大以来，
fronts.
在以习近平同志
As
为
of the
核心的
18th
党中央
CPC
坚
National
强领导
Congress,
下，
under the strong
中国式
leadership
现代
of the
化建
CPC
设
Central
按
Committee
下了
with
加
Comrade
速
Xi
键，
Jinping at its core,
续写
the
经济快速
acceleration
发
button
展
was
和
pressed
社
in
会
China's
长期稳
modernization
定
drive.
两大奇迹，
The two major miracles,
完成
fast
脱贫
economic
攻坚，
development and
全
long-term
面
social
建成
stability
小康
continued.
社会的历史任务，
Absolute poverty was eradicated.
实现
A
第
moderately
一个百
prosperous
年奋
society
斗
in all respects became
实
a
现中
reality.
华民族
With
从站
this,
起
the
来
first centenary
富起
goal
来
was
到
realized.
强起来
The
的伟
Chinese
大飞
nation
跃，
has achieved a great
推
transformation
动中华民
from
族伟大
standing
复
up and
兴
growing
进
prosperous
入了
to
不可逆
becoming
转的
strong.
历史进程。
National rejuvenation is now
在上
on
个
an
月举行的
irreversible course.
全国两会上，
At the
Xi
National
Jinping
People's
总书记
Congress and the
再
Chinese
次
People's
全票
Political
当
Consultative
选国家
Conference
主席，
elections last month, General Secretary Xi Jinping was once again unanimously elected President of the People's Republic of China. It was a choice by history and by the people. With the conviction and responsibility of serving the people selflessly, President Xi Jinping is steering Chinese modernization forward and leading us in marching on the right path toward a better future. Chinese modernization is a natural outcome of the laws governing human development. Modernization is a common cause of all humanity, although the West enjoyed the fruits of modernization ahead of others. History will not end there. As early as 140 years ago, Karl Marx envisioned crossing the Quadine Forks of capitalism, providing a solid theoretical basis for a path of modernization different from that of the West. Through the past 100 years and more, China has found by itself a path to modernization and created a new form of human advancement. Ample facts have proved that there's no fixed model or single solution to modernization. Any country can achieve modernization as long as the path suits its conditions and answers the need of its people for development. On the contrary, mechanically copying ill-fitted foreign models is counterproductive and may even lead to catastrophic consequences. Friends, as the Chinese saying goes, a just cause should be pursued for the common good. As the biggest developing country, China always keeps in mind the greater good of the whole world. The Chinese path to modernization is not a one-flower show, still less for self-interest. It is a path toward development of China through which more positive energy will be added to global peace and new opportunities created for global development. Here is what I believe. The modernization of China with such a huge population will be a stronger boost for global economic recovery. Over the past 40-plus years, since reform and opening up, the Chinese government has lifted over 800 million people out of poverty and enlarged the middle-income group to over 400 million people. Today, China is the main trading partner of over 140 countries and regions, making $320 million direct investment around the world each day, and attracting over 3,000 foreign businesses every month. Over the past decade, China has contributed more to global growth than all the G7 countries combined. With over 1.4 billion people on course toward modernization, a number larger than the combined population of all developed countries, China will give a much stronger impetus for the global economy. The China Development Forum and the Boao Forum for Asia, which were successfully held last month, attracted many political and business leaders from around the world. The most repeated call we heard was to seize the new opportunities that will come along with China's high-quality development and high-standard opening up. The #1 unanimous view was to reject decoupling and move forward with China. The modernization of China with common prosperity for all will open up a broader path to a common development of all countries. Modernization should not make the rich richer and the poor poorer, nor should it serve the interests of only a few countries or individuals. Common prosperity for the whole world requires the development of all countries. The Belt and Road Initiative, or the BRI, and the Global Development Initiative, or the GDI, are public goods that China offers to the international community. They are also open platforms for pursuing common development and prosperity. 10 years on since the start of the BRI, over 3,000 cooperation projects have been launched, involving close to $1 trillion of investment and creating 420,000 jobs for participating countries. Many nations have thus realized their dreams of railways, big bridges, and poverty alleviation.
也受到了国际社会的普
The
遍
GDI is also widely welcomed by the international community,
已得到100多个国家
with the
和多
support
个
of
国际组
over
织支持，
100 countries
近
and
70个
many
国家
international
加入全
organizations,
球发展倡议之友小
and
组
with some 70 countries in
为
the
加
group
快
of
实
friends
现
of
联
the
合国
GDI.
2030年可持续
The
发展目
initiative
标
is
提
giving
供了
a
重要
strong
助力。
boost to the early attainment
中
of the
国
U.S.
高度
Sustainable
重视解决
Development
发展
Goals
中国家
for
债务问题，
2030.
积极
China
全
takes
面落实
seriously the
20国
debt
集
issue
团
of developing
还债
countries.
倡议，
We are actively and fully implementing the
贡献的
G20's
还债额
debt
度
service suspension
高达
initiative,
63%。
and have contributed as much as
可以说，
63%
中国式现
of
代
the
化
total debt
点燃了
payments
各国实现
suspended.
现代化的信心。
It is fair to say that Chinese
借用一位非
modernization
洲
has
领导人
helped
的话说，
inspire confidence
中国
in
道
many
路
countries in their
激励着
pursuit
所有
of
发展
modernization.
中国家，
As an African
每个
leader
国
put
家
it, the
都能实
Chinese
现从
path
无到有的发展。
inspires all developing countries to believe that every country is able
一个物
to
质文
achieve
明
development
和精神
even
文明
from
相协
scratch.
调的现代化，
The modernization of
将为
China
人类
with
社会
material
进
and
步
cultural
开
ethical
创
advancement
更
will
美好
open up
前景。
bright prospects for human progress.
一些国家实现经济科
Some
技高度
countries,
发达同
while
时，
highly developed
却陷入
economy,
以资本为中
science
心
and，technology
物质
have
主义泛滥，
descended into a
精神空
capital-centric
虚，
mode, rampant
适得失去
materialism,
的困境。
cultural impoverishment, moral degradation,
主席
and
强调，
public disorder.
现代化的最终目标
As President Xi
是实
Jinping
现人
underscored,
自由而
the
全面的
ultimate
发展
goal of modernization is the
人
free
的全
and
面发展
well-rounded development
意味
of
着
people,
不仅要求
which
物质
means
上富足，
not only material
更要在精
abundance,
神上富有。
but also cultural ethical enrichment.
仓廪实而知礼
As the
节。
Chinese saying goes,
衣食
only
足
when the granary is
而知
full
荣辱
will people learn etiquette.
中华文明
Only
历来
when
憧
people
憬
are
物
well
质
fed
生
and
活
clothed
充
will
实
they
无
know
忧，
honor and
道
shame.
德境界
The Chinese
充分
nation
升华的
always
大
yearns
同
for a
世
world
界
of great harmony in
把
which
人的
people
精
are
神
free
价
from
值
want and
放
follow
在
a
物质
high
追求
moral
之上，
standard.
纳入
It is
社
a
会理
world
想
where
之中。
people put their cultural pursuit
早
before
在
material
2500年
needs
前的轴心
and
时
see
代
it as part of their social
从
ideal.
中国的孔孟
Back in the Axial
到希
Age
腊的柏拉图
2,500 years ago, philosophers
各
of
大
great
文明不约
civilizations
而同
like
开始
Confucius
探
and
索
Mencius
崇
in
高的
China
精神
and
世界。
Plato in Greece went on
现
their
代化
respective yet
绝
common
不是
pursuit
古老
of
文明
cultural
的
and
衰
ethical
亡，
enrichment.
而是传统文
Modernization
化的
is
新
not
生。
the demise of ancient
习
civilizations,
近平主席
but a
郑
renewal
重
of
提出
traditional
全球文
cultures.
明倡议，
The Global Civilization
重视文明
Initiative,
传承
or the
和创新，
GCI, put forth by
倡导尊
President Xi
重
Jinping,
世界文明多
advocates the
样性，
importance of
坚
inheritance
持
and
文明平
innovations
等
of
互鉴
civilizations,
对话
promotes the
包容
respect for the diversity of civilizations, and advances
周
the
岁旧
principles of
邦
equality,
其民
mutual
维
learning,
新。
dialogue, and
中
inclusiveness
国式
among
现代化
civilizations.
使博大
The
精深的
Chinese
中华
believe that
文
even
明
for an
焕发
established
出新
country,
的生
its
机
future
与活
hinges
力，
on self-renewal.
为世界和
Chinese
平繁荣
modernization will add
人类
new
发展
vigor
进步
and vitality
贡献更
to the
多
profound
中
Chinese
国智慧。
civilization and contribute more Chinese wisdom
我们憧憬这
to
样一
global
幅美
peace
妙
and
的世界
prosperity
图景，
and to human progress.
各大
We
文明
envision a better
薪火
world
相传，
in which all
繁本开新。
civilizations prosper from generation to
人类
generation
物质文明
through
的大
constant
厦
self-renewal,
遍地林立，
enjoying both
精神
material
文明的
abundance
天空
and cultural
群星闪
and
耀。
ethical advancement.
一个人与自然
The
和谐共生
modernization
的现
of
代，
China with harmony
必将
between
为世
humanity
界
and
建
nature
设清洁美丽世
will
界
provide a
提
more
供更可
viable
行方案。
path to a clean and beautiful
习
world.
近平主席指出，绿水青山
As President Xi
就是金山
Jinping
银
noted,
山。
lucid waters
中
and
国
large
自觉
mountains
把
are
保护生态
invaluable
环境、
assets.
应对气候变化的责
China
任
readily
扛在
takes
肩
on
上，
its responsibility of
创造
protecting
了多
the
个全球第
environment
一，
and tackling climate change,
人工
and
造
leads
林
the
规
world
模
on many
全球第
counts
一，
in terms of the
占全球
forested
的
area,
1/4，
which accounts for a quarter of the
可再
world's
生能
total.
源开发利用规模全球
In the
第一，
development and utilization of
风电、
renewable energy,
太阳能装
with
机容量
1/3 of the
占
world's
全球
installed
1/3以
capacity
上，
of wind and solar power.
新能源汽车产销量，
And in the output
全球
and
第一。
sales of new energy
世界一半
vehicles,
的新能源汽车
with half of the
行
world's
驶在中国。
NEVs running on Chinese roads.
中国向世界做出了
China
碳
has
达
made
峰、
the solemn
碳
pledge
中和
of
的
achieving
郑重
carbon
承
peak
诺，
and carbon neutrality to
从
the world,
达峰到中和
and
只
committed
要
itself
30年，
to moving from
将
carbon
比欧
peak
美
to
少用
neutrality
10几年
in just
到40
30
多年。
years. That is at least
我们还
years
率先
less
出资
than the
成立
United States
昆明
and
生物
40
多样
plus
性
years
基
less
金，
than the European Union.
为达成巴黎
China
协
has
定
taken the initiative to set up and invest in the Kunming Biodiversity Fund and contributed to the conclusion of the Paris Agreement. Just early this month, President Xi Jinping and President Emmanuel Macron agreed on jointly developing a carbon neutrality center in a bid to add new momentum to the global low-carbon transition. The modernization of China on the path of peaceful development will bring more certainty to world peace and stability. Dominance and hegemony is not the aim of China's development. The notion that strength will lead to hegemony is incompatible with Chinese culture, and defiance of hegemony is a noble character of Chinese diplomacy. Until today, China is the only country in the world that has put in its constitution the commitment to a path of peaceful development. China is the top contributor to peacekeeping personnel among the permanent members of the UN Security Council, and the only country among the 5 nuclear weapon states that has made the promise of no first use of nuclear weapons. We have joined over 20 multilateral arms control treaties and pushed for the conclusion of a joint statement among the 5 nuclear weapon states on preventing nuclear war. We advocate peaceful resolution of international disputes through consultation and dialogue. The Global Security Initiative, or the GSI, put forward by President Xi Jinping, has pointed out the right direction of pursuing common and universal security. As a Chinese proverb says, it is better to remove enmity than keep it alive. We are happy to see that more countries are shaking hands and embracing peace, facilitated by China, Saudi Arabia and Iran resume diplomatic relations. In the face of the protracted Ukraine crisis, China does not inflame or take advantage of the situation. Rather, China has taken an impartial stance and pushed for peace talks in order to reduce the pressure and lower the temperature around the crisis. Facts have proved that the China moving toward modernization is a boost to the force for peace and justice. Friends, the 20th CPC National Congress, held last October, drew up the blueprint for China's future development and laid out the task of advancing the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation on all fronts through a Chinese path to modernization. Fulfilling this central task is an unshakable responsibility for Chinese diplomacy. We will stay committed to the path of peaceful development and to fostering a new type of international relations featuring mutual respect, fairness, justice, and win-win cooperation. We will work with all countries to build an open, inclusive, clean, and beautiful world of lasting peace, universal security, and common prosperity, and develop a community with a shared future for mankind. China will defend the right to development of all countries with greater determination. Modernization is an inalienable right of every country, not a privilege reserved for a few. Those who have realized modernization should not tear down the bridge or block other countries' path to modernization. And they should not suppress, contain, or stop other countries that choose a different path to modernization. China has no intention to engage in major power competition. What we are firmly defending is our own development interests and the Chinese people's right to pursue a better life. China respects the modernization path chosen by the people of other countries and opposes attempts to create ideological confrontation and a new Cold War, interference in other internal affairs, and imposition of one's will on others. China stands committed to the right direction of globalization, opposes attempts to build walls and barriers, and push for decoupling and severing supply chains, and opposes unilateral sanctions and maximum pressure. China is doing its utmost to ensure stable and smooth functioning of industrial and supply chains, so that economic globalization and the modernization of all countries could move forward in tandem and complement each other. China will advance high-standard opening up with more proactive efforts. China's modernization has made advances in the course of opening up and is bound to embrace a brighter future through opening up. In hosting the Belt and Road Forum for International Cooperation and the China International Import Expo, China will deepen convergence of interests with the world. We will invest more resources in global development cooperation and do our utmost to help relieve the debt burdens of developing countries. We will endeavor to save international financial and currency circulation from the plight of speculation, manipulation, sanction, and pressuring, and help it return to its fundamental purpose of serving the real economy and promoting modernization. I'd like to take this opportunity to once again congratulate Madame Rousseff on assuming the presidency of the new development bank. I trust the bank will provide even greater support to the modernization processes of developing countries. China will promote more actively exchanges among civilizations. We call on all countries to promote peace, development, equity, justice, democracy, and freedom, the common values of humanity, and let cultural exchanges transcend estrangement, mutual learning transcend clashes, and coexistence transcend arrogance. We firmly oppose discrimination against races, countries, and civilizations in international relations. We are ready to explore, with all countries, the building of a global network for inter-civilization dialogue and cooperation, to open up new prospects of enhanced exchanges and understanding among different peoples, and better interactions and integration of diversified cultures. Together, we can make the garden of civilizations colorful and fragrant. China will work more vigorously for a community of all life on Earth. We will step up efforts to build a sound economic structure that facilitates green, low-carbon and circular development and promote a transition to green economic and social development across the board. Following the principle of common but differentiated responsibilities, we will actively participate in international cooperation in climate response, ocean governance, global biodiversity protection, and other areas, and promote a fair and equitable global environmental governance system of win-win cooperation, so as to contribute to addressing global challenges such as climate and environment and building a clean and beautiful world. China will safeguard the international order with greater resolve. Recently, there have been some absurd rhetoric accusing China of challenging the so-called rules-based international order, of unilaterally changing the status quo across the Taiwan Strait through force or coercion, and of disrupting peace and stability across the strait. Such claims go against basic common sense on international relations and historical justice. The logic is absurd and the consequences dangerous. Having suffered among the heaviest casualties in the World Anti-Fascist Alliance during World War II, and as a founding member of the UN and the first country to sign the UN Charter, China sees it as its solemn duty to defend the authority of the UN and uphold the post-war international order. We have the best record in abiding by the purposes and principles of the UN Charter, international law, and the basic norms of international relations. We need no reminder by certain countries or groups of countries. Fair-minded people can see full well who is exploiting and discarding the UN at its own will, who is disrupting the international order, and who is engaged in hegemonic, bullying, and high-handed practices. Friends, Taiwan has been an inalienable part of China's territory since ancient times, and both sides of the strait belong to one and the same China. This is Taiwan's history, and it is also the status quo of Taiwan. Taiwan's return to China is a component of the post-war international order, written in black and white in the Cairo Declaration and the Potsdam Proclamation. It is not the Chinese mainland, but the Taiwan independence separatist forces and a handful of countries attempting to take advantage of Taiwan independence that are disrupting international rules, unilaterally changing the status quo, and undermining stability across the strait. Their definition of rules, status quo, and stability is in fact aimed to hollow out the One China principle, achieve peaceful division of China, and ultimately tamper with the history of World War II, subvert the post-war order, and trample on China's sovereignty. This is unacceptable to the 1.4 billion Chinese people. China will not lose any part of its territory that has been restored, and the established post-war international order will not be upended. It is right and proper for China to uphold its sovereignty and territorial integrity. We would like to make it clear to those who seek to sabotage international justice in the name of international order The Taiwan question is the core of the core interests of China, and there will be no vagueness at all in our response to anyone who attempts to distort the One China principle. We will never back down in face of any act that undermines China's sovereignty and security. Those who play with fire on Taiwan will eventually get themselves burned. Friends, as the Chinese saying goes, with thousands of mountains already behind, the road ahead is full of promises and budding spring. While Chinese modernization is conceived in China, the opportunities it brings belong to the world. We are ready to work together with all parties to promote diverse ways of modernization and create an even brighter future for our planet. To conclude, I wish the forum full success. Thank you. The congratulatory message from President Xi Jinping is inspiring to us all and shows the strong support from the President to the holding of this forum. As instructed by President Xi, we will discuss the close relations between Chinese modernization and the world and the significance of this process to the world. The keynote speech by State Councilor Qin Gang has played an important guiding role for our discussion and laid down the tone for our deliberations. I thank State Councilor Qin Gang for his wonderful speech. I now invite Chen Jining, Secretary of CPC Shanghai Municipal Committee. Welcome.
Your Excellency, State Council Qin Gang, Vice President Xie Chentao of Central Party School, President Wu Hailong of China Public Diplomacy Association, Your Excellency Ms. Rousseff, President of New Development Bank of BRICS countries and former President of Brazil, Your Excellency Foreign Minister Tangara of Gambia, Your Excellency Mr. Sharaf, former Prime Minister of Egypt, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, friends. State Councilor Qin Gang just read out the congratulatory letter by President Xi Jinping. The letter profoundly expounds on China and other countries' pursuit of modernization, clearly pointing out the development path of promoting national rejuvenation and building a strong China on its own path towards modernization. It emphasizes that China's path of modernization provides new opportunities for world development and generates new impetus for exploring modernization and better social systems of the world to promote a development of a community with a shared future for mankind. Shanghai will earnestly implement the spirit of President Xi's congratulatory letter and strive to create a new chapter in the country's modernization drive. Today, for the first time in the 13-year history of Lanting Forum, it has left Beijing and taken place in Shanghai, for which we feel extremely honored. First of all, on behalf of the CPC Shanghai Municipal Committee and Shanghai Municipal Government, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all the guests attending the forum. I also like to express sincere gratitude to friends who have long cared for and supported Shanghai. Located at the junction of Yangtze River and East China Sea, Shanghai is known as the gateway to the Yangtze River and midpoint of North-South Belt. To the east is the vast Pacific, and to the west is the fertile Yangtze River Delta and the vast hinterland of the Yangtze River basin. Shanghai is located at the midpoint of China's mainland coastline, ports to the north are easily affected by cold currents in winter, and areas to the south are affected by typhoons in summer and autumn. Only Shanghai is nestled in a unique location, like in the Golden Cove. This unique geographical advantage has brought tremendous development opportunities to Shanghai and has made it an important gateway and hub connecting China with the world. Today, Shanghai is China's largest economic center city with a GDP of 4.47 trillion yuan last year. Its container throughput has ranked first in the world for 13 consecutive years, and its port trade has remained the top amongst the world cities. The venue we are now in is known as the Grand Hall, also known as the World Reception Room. Here we could fully appreciate the firm pace and the surging vitality of Shanghai's modernization drive from a historical perspective. The 19th National Congress of CPC has outlined the magnificent blueprint of China's path towards modernization. The theme of this forum, Chinese modernization of the world, is of great significance. President Xi Jinping has emphasized that Shanghai is an important window for the world to observe China. As the frontier of China's reform and opening up, China's mission is to take the lead in exploring the path and rules of Chinese modernization, accelerating the construction of socialist modern international metropolis with world influence. First, we should focus on promoting Chinese modernization and pioneer to build a socialist modernized country comprehensively. President Xi Jinping pointed out that Chinese modernization has created a new model of human civilization, emphasizing that Chinese modernization is one that benefits huge populations, promotes common prosperity of all people, as well as coordination of material civilization and cultural and ethical advancement, and the harmonious coexistence of man and nature, as well as a peaceful development path. Looking to the future, China will firmly grasp the essential requirements of Chinese modernization, thoroughly implement the new development concept, serve the exploration of the new development pattern, accelerate development of a modern economic system, as well as promote international economic, financial trade and shipping, as well as sci-tech center, focusing on high-quality development, creating high-quality life, and achieving sufficient, efficient governance, striving to significantly improve the functions and the capabilities of Shanghai, and fully displaying the characteristics of socialist modernization, giving Shanghai more charm and attraction, and we in Shanghai will seek out the dynamic means to translate Chinese modernization into reality. Secondly, we'll firmly deepen and advance our high-level opening up to integrate into economic globalization. President Xi Jinping has pointed out that economic globalization is an objective requirement for the development of social productivity and an inevitable result of technological progress. He emphasized that China will firmly pursue an open strategy of mutual benefit and win-win outcomes, continuously providing new opportunities for the world with China's new development. Opening up is Shanghai's greatest advantage and distinctive feature. In recent years, the central government of China has launched a string of major open-up platforms such as Free Trade Zones, Lingang Area, and China International Import-Expo in Shanghai, promoting the continuous improvement of Shanghai's opening up. Today, Shanghai has gathered over 60,000 foreign businesses with 907 regional headquarters of multinational corporations and 538 foreign-funded R&D facilities. Looking to the future, Shanghai will benchmark itself against international high-standard economic trade agreements, steadily expand institutional opening up in terms of rules, regulations, management, standards, and so forth, and accelerate the building of market-oriented, law-based, and a leading world-class business environment, deeply integrate ourselves into the global economic system, and strive to become a strategic link between the domestic and international dual circulation. Thirdly, we better promote cultural exchanges and mutual learning around weaving up a community with a shared future for mankind. President Xi has said that humanity has become a community with a shared future in which people are interconnected and share common destiny. He emphasized that civilizations thrive through diversity, exchange, and mutual learning, which leads to joint development. Inclusiveness, pursuit of excellence, enlightenment, and humility are really the city's spirit defining Shanghai. Today, Shanghai has twinned with 92 sister cities in 15 countries, with friends from all over the world come here to study, to work, and to live. Eastern and Western cultures converge and blend here, jointly reinterpreting the splendor of Shanghai. Looking to the future, Shanghai will adhere to the spirit of mutual respect and mutual learning, uphold the concept of appreciating the beauty of all and sharing the beauty with all, strengthen friendly exchanges with more cities around the world, expand cultural exchanges and carry out more practical cooperation in fields such as technology, education, culture, sports, and healthcare. Shanghai will serve as a bridge and a link for international cultural exchanges and mutual learning, allowing diverse and colorful cultures to bloom in Shanghai. With the presence of so many distinguished guests at this forum, we look forward to hearing everyone's valuable insights and suggestions. We welcome everyone to explore and offer their suggestions to promote Shanghai's socialist modernization drive. In closing, I wish this forum a complete success. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency Chen Jining, for your remarks. Your remarks has boosted our confidence in a more thriving city of Shanghai filled with opportunities, and I would like to thank the Shanghai municipal government for their full support and meticulous preparation to make this forum a success. Here, I wish to express my sincere appreciation to the Shanghai municipal government and all those who have contributed to the success of the forum. Now I invite President of the New Development Bank, Dilma Rousseff, to deliver remarks.
Gostaria de cumprimentar o senhor Jin, ministro das Relações Exteriores da China. Sua Excelência, o senhor Jin, secretário do Comitê Municipal de Xangai do Partido Comunista Chinês. Demais autoridades, ilustres convidados, senhoras e senhores. Como presidente do
Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, as President of the New Development Bank and former President of Brazil, I know very well what modernization means for the Global South. Over the centuries, Global South, especially Latin American countries, were followers of leading countries. For a long period of time, fake modernization was imposed upon us. Its initial form was colonialization, including the murder of native people, plunder, exploitation, and slavery. Now, given the neoliberalism in the financial sector, we see that wealth is increasingly accumulated in the hands of only a few. This is a very cruel process, and in this process, millions of people were left behind. China has put forth a Chinese path to modernization. This has given us a new choice. This shows that a new world is possible and is necessary.
De maior fragmentação provocada pelo acirramento dos conflitos geopolíticos, pela disrupção das cadeias
In a world where we
produtivas,
face crises, including climate, intensified geopolitical conflicts, industrial chain disruption, and anti-globalization movement, including reshoring and friendshoring. In such a backdrop, Chinese globalization is even more important. On the other hand,
tornando as grandes regiões em polos
we need to
específicos de
deepen
comércio intrarregional
the global movement of rekindling globalization. This will turn big regions into specific pillars for regional trade and can help us to build a new global financial architecture. And in such an architecture, the currencies of different countries will be used. I've noted that a main feature of Chinese modernization is putting the people first, and it is also underpinned by common prosperity. Over the past 4 decades, China lifted over 800 million people out of extreme poverty. This itself is a great achievement unseen before in human history. Despite this achievement, China is still making strides forward. It has put forward the goal of turning China into a modern socialist country by 2030. This will be a big challenge. And to achieve this, we need to advance industrialization through science and technology, give more added value to production, and create more and better jobs. Such a modernization will have a great impact on the global south, in particular in the context of building a community with a shared future for mankind. China's commitment in this regard will help bridge the north-south gap and build a multipolar world, which can be more inclusive. This has provided a new alternative to the existing model and has contributed to the shared efforts of the global south. Digital integration, the Belt and Road Initiative, and the new Development Bank are of strategic significance to building a more just and inclusive multipolar world. The Global South, including Latin America, are looking for reindustrialization with new features, not just about commodities. Many countries have not completed their second or third industrial revolution. Now, in the course of the fourth industrial revolution, they may be rendered consumers, mere consumers of platform capitalism, and may get trapped in the shared economy. As I've said, digital integration, the Belt and Road Initiative, are making good progress. And the new development bank has an important role to play. The NDB, in terms of promoting infrastructure and connectivity, can play a big role. The NDB will also help solve relevant problems and make the Global South, in particular Latin American countries, better positioned to achieve reindustrialization.
Do capitalismo de plataforma, uberizando suas economias.
and to achieve their own development.
De alguma forma, dos processos industriais robotizados. Temos de acessar a
We need to
medicina à
take part
distância,
in
criar
the
cidades
industrialization
inteligentes,
process,
desenvolver
which is
cada
marked
vez
by the
mais
use
as
of machines.
energias
For instance,
renováveis
we need to promote the
e fazer
development of
pleno
AI,
uso
remote
o
medical
uso
services,
possível da inteligência artificial,
the
colocando-os
development of
a
renewable
serviço
energy,
das
and fully
pessoas.
tap into the potential of
Na
AI so
verdade,
that they can
temos de fazer que
help
nossa
advance our interests.
modernização seja centrada no nosso próprio povo e nos seus interesses. Por isso, a
We
China se
need to
constitui
make
não um modelo,
modernization
mas uma
a path
possibilidade, a afirmação
that
de
can
que é
best
possível
serve the
ter
interests
novo
of our
caminho.
people. And in this regard,
Quem
China has
permanecia
not only set a
no
good
sul
example,
global como
but also
apenas
provided a
importador de
pathway.
produtos e tecnologias, sem nenhuma perspectiva e caminho para participar da quarta revolução industrial, ficará na periferia,
China's development
submetido e subordinado
has enabled
aos
the global
interesses das
south
políticas que ao
to
longo
turn
dos
from
últimos
the
séculos
providers of
foram
commodities
nos impostas.
into
Daí
partners
a
with other
importância
countries.
que o Banco dos BRICS
The global
atribui
south can
ao
work with
investimento
all
em
countries
logística e à infraestrutura digital.
and to share in the development
Daí
of
a
all.
importância da visão chinesa de uma modernização de qualidade, em que se busque o compartilhamento da prosperidade e de seus benefícios. Temos consciência
From my
de que
perspective,
a modernização nos
Chinese
países
modernization
não será
also attaches high
homogênea
importance to
e
high
também
quality
não será
development.
simultânea para todos. Estará sempre subordinada às características específicas dos países
Modernization
e
cannot
de
be a
cada deles,
one-size-fits-all
o
model
processo-
for
o
all
processo
countries,
terá uma
and there will be
temporalidade
different
própria.
processes and different pathways
Sabemos,
towards
sobretudo,
modernization.
que a modernização realizada
It will
com
depend
qualidade,
on the national realities
como a
of each and
proposta
every
pela
country,
China, pressupõe uma
and there may be
relação
different time frames.
harmônica
There may be different
entre a
time frames
humanidade e a
for
natureza,
different countries.
o que torna a questão ambiental e a transição
But we all
para
know
uma
that
economia de
high-quality
baixo
modernization
carbono
means harmony between
e
man and
futuro zero
nature.
carbono,
This is why,
estratégias
in
fundamentais.
achieving modernization,
Os
a
países do
transition
sul
to
global
low
são
carbon and green
detentores
development is
de grande
crucial.
parte das florestas
The global
tropicais
south is
primárias
home to the
remanescentes
world's
e da biodiversidade
largest amount
do
of
planeta.
tropical
Isso nos
forests
torna
and biodiversity.
responsável por assegurar que essa
This is
riqueza
why
fundamental seja
are
devidamente preservada e protegida.
Duty-bound to make
E
sure that
qualifica a
such
nossa
assets from the nature
modernização,
are
que
properly
deverá ser
protected
verde e
and
não
preserved.
predatória.
And we need to make sure that our path to modernization will not concern plunder or damage to the nature.
Solidário e sustentável, que
We
pode
need
ser
modernization with
sintetizado em uma
solidarity, with
modernização
inclusiveness, and with
baseada na
sustainability.
prosperidade compartilhada, em uma modernização centrada
And
nas pessoas,
for that, I call
em
it
uma
a shared
modernização que
modernization,
produza
a modernization that puts people
educacional,
first,
científico e tecnológico,
a modernization
e em uma modernização verde.
that includes
Somente assim
science
será
and technological
possível
advancement,
construir
education,
essa proposta
and green development.
de uma comunidade
Only in pursuing
internacional
such a
de
modernization
futuro compartilhado
can we
para
truly
toda a
build a
humanidade,
community
que
with
é
a shared future
apresentada
for mankind.
pela China neste momento da nossa vida neste planeta. Muito
And
obrigado.
this is a very important initiative put forth by China. Thank you.
感谢罗塞夫女士的精彩致辞。下面有请冈
Thank
比亚
you,
外长坦加拉阁
President
下致辞，
Dilma
请大
Rousseff.
家
And I'll
欢
give
迎。
the floor to Foreign Minister Tangara of the Gambia.
Your Excellency, State Councilor and Foreign Minister of China, Jin Gang, Your Excellency, the President of the New Development Bank and former President of Brazil, Madame Dilma Rousseff, Your Excellencies, former heads of states and government, Your Excellencies, ambassadors and members of the diplomatic corps, Your Excellency Wu Hailong, the President of the China Public Diplomacy Association, distinguished heads and representatives of international organizations, distinguished scholars, distinguished heads of private sector organizations, and representatives of the business community, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. I bring you warm greetings from the Gambia, the smiling coast of Africa. I do so in my own behalf and on behalf of His Excellency President Adama Barrow, President of the Republic of the Gambia. It is therefore a great honor to once again visit the beautiful country of China to participate in this year's Lanting Forum, and I thank the government and people of China for the invitation. I'm particularly grateful to the China Diplomacy Association and Shanghai Municipal People's Government for the excellent facilities put at our disposal since our arrival in this beautiful and historic city of Shanghai. Since the start of its modernization era, the People's Republic of China stands as a beacon of hope for all developing countries and symbolizes the truth that mankind have a shared future and that collaboration, cooperation, and unity are indispensable for global prosperity. The 21st century was ushered with a storied engagement to bring to our prism a closer examination of the nature and orientations of the relationships between nations and civilizations. Various perspectives and thoughts were rendered in an attempt to form our understanding and optimism on the fundamental ethos that will govern interstate relations and the global multilateral system in the new century. However, it is worth noting that converging impetus is the prevalent confidence that collaborations should intrinsically be mutually beneficial to all. For Africa, there was a strong undercurrent that the perception of the continent as a place synonymous with brazen impoverishment is rendered a mere conjecture, and this unjust prediction is not made a reality. This course of action is being realized with the positive role of China in our global system and the regional architectures we develop to reshape our development agenda. This forum is indeed the right platform for us to also collectively examine the fundamental questions of our contemporary global system and the positive cascading effects of the efforts to realize a Chinese dream. I therefore thank Mr. Ailong for the kind invitation that has been extended to me to speak at this forum. The modernity of China is an inspiration and a proof to all this century offers unique and viable options to anchor our development pursuits. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, China's modernization is one that addresses in a resolute way the global deficits of development, peace, governance, and trust. Widely viewed as a miracle in the history of human development, it promoted poverty alleviation, common prosperity, ecological conservation, and people-centered democracy, as well as the rule of law. Indeed, it is often said that having evidence that it can be done, China has inspired many developing countries to seek their own formula to reduce poverty and to promote their respective economic development and prosperity. The socio-economic transformation of China has simply been unprecedented. This evolution is a clarion testament to the great utility of competent, visionary, and stable domestic leadership. China has historically espoused a consistent commitment to pursuing a development narrative and strategic thinking that is fully cognizant of its great civilizational values and history. This spirit of innovativeness and consistency is also a demonstrative inclination that the quest for sustainable development and the resulting beneficial partnerships can be fully realized through differentiated avenues and platforms. The Belt and Road Initiative is postured to immensely accelerate our strong desire for a more integrated and just world, where positive collaboration between states is not burdened by the complexities of ideological and cultural differences. The desire for self-actualization for nations transcends mere schematics and perspectives that have long lost their persuasive vibrancy. What is critically important in the configuration of the Belt and Road Initiative is a uniquely focused aspiration that regardless of our subtle differences, we are all galvanized under the common ambition of seeking beneficial and sustainable socio-economic transformative partnerships. It essentially bridges physical distance and shared interests and prosperity. The Republic of the Gambia commends President Xi Jinping for his dynamic leadership and indivisible dedication to ensuring that the African continent occupies a central place in the articulation of the imperatives for closer relationships between countries, particularly under the major flagship initiative of the Belt and Road Initiative. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Chinese modernization and the resulting impetus it brought to global prosperity is consistent with history. The dynamism and forward-thinking enterprise of the Chinese people has been recorded in history some centuries ago. Therefore, for our countries, the rapid modernity witnessed in China is not an aberration, but a strong restoration of the importance that the Chinese people and civilization has assumed in global history. A prosperous China is a welcome development for many of our countries. History has demonstrated that China has a greater preoccupation with respecting the civilizational differences of others. This is marked with a greater tendency to deploy a more benign engagement mantra with others. In Africa, there is no recollection of history that China has forcibly imposed its cultural ethos and abrogated the value and political systems of countries on the continent. For us, therefore, a Chinese dream epitomizes a greater opportunity to widen the scope for mutually beneficial and friendlier political trade and cultural relations. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in the context of the future, the optimism that a balanced and diversified international system is for the beneficiation of all continues to be firmly nurtured by the standings of China. China, in this evolving dynamics, is a positive actor. I'm particularly pleased with the leadership that modern China has assumed in focusing on the needed solutions to our common challenges. This direction is exemplified by the progressive resolution of China to, among others, justly address the challenges of climate change and the reformulation of the global financial, security, legal, and political architectures to accommodate the underlying concerns of all nations. The importance of our multilateral system cannot be overemphasized, particularly from a viewpoint of a small country like the Gambia. The recent challenges to the credibility of our international systems are a stark challenge to the entrenched perception of civilities and modus operandi in the discharge of the relationship and cooperation between states. However, we have noted with great admiration the major efforts of China to ensure that the shared values and moral ethos of our international system are not unnecessarily discarded. Consequently, we are greatly assured of the continued viability of the value system that we have tirelessly constructed over the years and are equally committed to viewing such dispositions as sacred and a clear symbol of the dynamic global leadership of China. Although some theoretical explanations have perceived our global system from a paradigm of anarchism, we as a committee of nations should not be indulged in this tendency. The power of our multilateral system as a galvanizing platform in generating common solutions has not diminished, and we are fully assured by the continuous call of China for the positive foundation of this system to be fastened and improved. The further realization of the Chinese dream naturally represents an alluring diversity of options and opportunities for us to realize our development agenda. As a result, it will not be greatly helpful if this critically positive momentum is embraced by others as a signal to heighten narratives of divisiveness and the employment of a zero-sum tactics. Our right perspective is that the diverse development partnership pathways within our international system are good for all nations. We must be allowed within the sacrosanct limit of our sovereignty to collaborate with any country that offers us the optimum and just outcomes for our development aspirations. Therefore, it does not go well with us that in some instances we are urged to abdicate the wisdom of freely cooperating with our development partners, including China. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as developing countries like the Gambia pursue their development agenda, they are continually confronted by multifaceted risks, which not only slows its socioeconomic progress, but threatens to reverse the gains registered over the past decade. We therefore welcome the 3 initiatives launched by His Excellency President Xi Jinping, specifically the Global Development Initiative, the Global Security Initiative, and the Global Civilization Initiative. For together, they unwaveringly offer hope for a shared and better future for mankind. In the Global Development Initiative, which aims to share global development towards a new stage of balanced, coordinated, and inclusive growth, the world received a much-needed boost for achieving the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. The strategic focus on poverty alleviation, food security, industrialization, climate change, and green development addresses the core development challenges of our times, while financing for development, COVID-19 response and vaccines, digital economy, and connectivity will enable mutual prosperity and win-win for all stakeholders in the global economy. Similarly, the Global Security Initiative is widely considered timely in a progressively insecure world, as it provides safeguards for regional and international security, peace, and stability. In this initiative, many countries will find a neutral partner in conflict resolutions, the promotion of peace over conflict, and the establishment of a global harmony in a multipolar world. Considering the unbreakable link between peace and justice, the Gambia renews its call for reform of the global governance order to ensure proper commitment and execution of UN-based international law. We therefore join the People's Republic of China to promote strategic communications while managing differences and eliminating the root cause of crisis. I'm sorry, I just go back. There must be no class of civilization, and no civilization is superior to the other. There can only be classes of ignorances, as civilizations enrich and enlighten each other. And this brings to my mind the thinking of a great Latin American thinker, Simón Bolívar, when he said that un pueblo ignorante es el instrumento ciego de su propia destrucción, that an ignorant people is the instrument for its self-destruction. And a great African thinker, Amadou Hampâté Bâ, used to promote the dialogue of cultures, saying that the beauty of the Persian tapestry comes from the variety and the diversity of the colors. La variété du tapis persan vient de la diversité et de la variété de ses couleurs. Saying that the different cultures that we have should be harnessed to put emphasis more on the things that will bring us together than divide us. Similarly, the GCI, similarly, we want to say that history is full of great civilizations that span geographical landscapes and time frames, with each other offering a great gift to the world. The GCI offers a space for intercivilizational harmony, and developing countries like the Gambia welcome the opportunity to use it as a platform for experiencing, sharing, including experience in promoting Chinese modernization. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, China's successful modernization efforts and achievements have brought to light 4 key elements that are worth trumpeting around the world. 1, there are multiple ways to achieving modernization. 2, every nation has an inalienable right to its style of modernization. 3, there is no one-cap-fits-all model of modernization model. And 4, is there a single standard for modernization? There is a great learning in this phenomenon as it broadens the space for modernization efforts globally. The People's Republic of China must therefore continue this strive for a more inclusive world as a developing country. The Gambia stands ready for win-win partnerships with respect to peace, prosperity, people-to-people exchanges, and of equal importance, a sustainable planet. And yes, the new development of China indeed offers new opportunities for the world. For instance, China's rise as a global investor, lender, trader, and builder has created an array of new opportunities for global prosperity. In renewable energy, China manifests unique strengths which, in partnership with the rest of the world, can reverse the energy and climate change crisis while also setting the Earth on a more sustainable trajectory. As China continues its opening up, Africa sees an opportunity for harnessing the FOCAC framework to be part of the global supply chain and global enterprises. Considering that China attaches great importance to people-to-people exchanges, opportunities exist for partnerships in science, education, health, and tourism exchanges. So, too, there are opportunities to make global governance fairer and more equitable, and to work with all nations to create a better future for humanity. This is the only guarantee for global prosperity, and it is the only way for the world to live in harmony. Indeed, with China's modernization agenda, the world stands a better chance to bequeath a planet that is better than we found it. To conclude, I wish once again to congratulate the China Public Diplomacy Association for organizing this year's highly relevant Lanting Forum. In conclusion, I also avail myself this opportunity to also affirm and reaffirm here the Gambia's commitment to the One China policy and to the maintenance of peace not only in this region but in the world. As the incoming chair of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, the Gambia commends and congratulates the People's Republic of China for the major diplomatic breakthrough in bringing together 2 of the OIC members, namely the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Islamic Republic of Iran. The Gambia finds the People's Republic of China a reliable partner in development and looks forward to continued collaborations for win-win development results. Indeed, the world expects China, in its stride towards modernization, to continue to bring development opportunities for the world. And in this journey, China can be assured that the Gambia will work with China all the way to shared success. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tangara, Your Excellency, for your wonderful remarks. I now invite the former Prime Minister of Egypt, His Excellency SM Sharaf.
His Excellency Minister Chen Zhong, Her Excellency President Dilma Rousseff, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to be here with you again after 3 years. I want to start by expressing my deep appreciation and thanks for the China Public Diplomacy Association and, of course, for the Shanghai municipal government for their warm hospitality. The title of my presentation is Chinese Modernization, the Road to Global Community with a Shared Future. Well, I selected to use a demand-supply approach in trying to express the meaning of what I want to reach at a conclusion, how the Chinese modernization affect the world. The demand here is simply a dream of building a community with a shared future for mankind. The supply is to make the dream a reality and have a community with a shared future for mankind. And I believe, as I said, the Chinese modernization process, elements, pillars can help in achieving this noble goal. There is a lot of pillars, a lot of ideas, but I selected 4 key pillars that actually you can see it in the Chinese modernization process. Past, present, and future. The key pillars are cooperation, harmony, peace, and development. And the associated concepts with these pillars are cooperation. There is no cooperation without an international platform. Harmony, no peace without civilization harmony. Peace, no development without peace. Development, no prosperity without development. So they are key pillars of Chinese modernization. China, what happened, they took these pillars and passed it to the world through 4 global initiatives, namely Belt and Road Initiative, Global Civilization Initiative, Global Security Initiatives, and Global Development Initiative. It's not, actually, I will not look at the chronically the time, but I look at the concept and the meaning of each of these. So what I want to do with these 4 important pillars, global initiatives, what I want to say is that the 4 concepts of cooperation, harmony, peace, and development that actually constitute a main part of the Chinese modernization, how this affect the world through the 4 global initiatives, namely BRI, GCI, GSI, and GDI, to produce, or at least to have a better status of a community with a shared future. Let me start with the Belt and Road Initiative. Belt and Road Initiative, or New Silk Road, it's not just a road. Actually, it is a platform for international cooperation through connectivity, hard connectivity, and soft connectivity, and partnership or togetherness. hard connectivity examines infrastructure projects, soft connectivity policies and things like that, harmonization of these, but the most important thing is people-to-people connectivity. And the partnership, of course, I'm sure that all of you are aware of this wording is think together, work together, and gain together. So it's a whole process of international cooperation. It's not just building a road. Of course, transportation is very important. Also, at some point of time, I was Minister of Transport. It's very important, but it's not everything. Let me go quickly to the Global Civilization Initiative. It's nothing more, it's actually about building trust. Building trust. At one day, United Nations Secretary General said that the world is suffering from a bad case of trust deficit disorder, and this is true. So, harmonizing diversity is a key issue, in fact, through culture connectivity, civilization dialogue, and mutual learning. And I always give this example that this beautiful painting, it has a lot of diversities, different colors, shapes, and things like that. And if we decided to repaint this painting by one color, it's going to be like that. It will lose its power, lose its effect, lose its impact. So with these different colors, gradients, and shapes, we have one beautiful painting. It's the same concept that President Xi always talks about with our different cultures. With all this, if we're able to harmonize this culture, then we can end up with one beautiful humanity and one peaceful world. It's the same concept, actually. We are more than 200 countries, thousands of religions and thought pathways. So if we can harmonize diversity of cultures, actually through people-to-people connectivity, or I use that power of people through the power of culture. You can convert this disagreement to actually harmony and get a power of change. And I always use, say that some political sciences scholars say that political systems are grounded in cultures. And so international relations are therefore, by definition, intercultural relations. So that means if we can harmonize the diversity of cultures, then actually you can end up with a better international relations. Again, with always, you hear that, one humanity, different cultures. Where is China? China people include 56 ethnic groups. So it's a very good example for a country with almost near 20% of the world population, with 56 ethnic groups living in peace, living in harmony. So this is a good example. And I want to finish talking about Global Civilization Initiative with a quote from the conclusion of the Parliament of the World's Religion in 2018. It actually attended by thousands of people representing different religions and thoughts and things like that. The future we embrace will be a new ecological civilization and a world of peace, justice, and sustainability. With the flourishing of the diversity of life, this is important, we will build this future as one human family with the greater Earth community. Going to Global Security Initiative, GSI, of course it starts with after the Russia-Ukraine confrontation, and was introduced by China, by President Xi, as a global public good to avoid return to the Cold War era and group policies and bloc confrontation, and to confirm abiding by the purposes and principles of the United Nations Charter to resolve differences and disputes through dialogue and consultation. Again, if you look at this, you'll find that exactly comes from the Chinese 5 principles of peaceful coexistence. Going to the Global Development Initiative, GDI, of course it started after COVID-19, and it was warmly received by the international community. More than 100 countries and many international organizations, including the United Nations, involved, and there was a group called Friends of Global Development Initiative was formed as appreciation of this initiative. And also United Nations Secretary General said GDI proposed by President Xi is of significant and positive importance to promoting global equality and balancing sustainable development. And the United Nations fully supports it and is willing to enhance cooperation with China in this regard. So this is appreciation of the world for this initiative. In summary, I don't go in details, but the Global Development Initiative actually presents a global development roadmap with a set of core concepts and a set of priority areas. And it's not only for achieving sustainable goals or avoid the negative impact of COVID. No, it's a roadmap, continuous roadmap for global development. Also, an analysis done by the International Advisory Council of the Belt and Road Forum, there was some kind of correlation between the 5 pillars of BRI, of Belt and Road Initiative, and the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and there was a high correlation, and that was mentioned by Secretary General of the United Nations. He said the 5 pillars of the Belt and Road are substantially linked to the 17th Sustainable Development Goals. So this is another appreciation of the Chinese initiatives. So, finally, what I tried to say that the mechanism of Chinese modernization was presented to the world, or gifted to the world actually, through the global initiatives. So with the same dynamics of the Chinese modernization, we could reach the community of shared future, or at least improve its status. And when we reach this stage, we can talk about dialogue-based international relations. We can talk about rule-based global governance. We can talk about true multilateralism. And, of course, we can talk about a beautiful world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency Sharaf. I now invite you to watch a video by Chairman and CEO of CV Star, Mr. Morris Greenberg.
Good morning. I'd like to thank the Chinese Foreign Affairs for inviting me to address all of you today. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person. My company, CV Star, was founded in Shanghai over 100 years ago, and I've been visiting China for nearly 50 years. I have seen firsthand China's remarkable growth and development. Today, China is the second largest economy. Its bilateral relationship with the United States is the most important one in the world. Together, we share the great responsibility of preserving global peace and stability. China and the U.S. have a long history of cooperation and common understanding. For 50 years, we have developed a dynamic trading partnership with hundreds of billions of dollars invested in each other's economies. The recent deterioration in bilateral relations is of great concern to me and to others. It is in the national interest of both countries to establish a constructive dialogue and commit to working together to repair and stabilize our state of affairs. I will do everything I can to help make that happen. I hope my friends in China will do the same. Thank you.
感谢格林伯格先生所做
Thank you,
的事
Mr.
情支
Greenberg,
持。
for your
下面有请
virtual
中
remarks.
共中央党
I
校
now
副校
invite
长谢崇涛致辞，
Executive
大家
Vice
欢迎。
President Xie Chuntao of the Party School of the CPC Central Committee for remarks. Your Excellency Secretary Chen Zining, State Councilor Qin Gang, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to attend the Lanting Forum and discuss with friends from China and around the world Chinese modernization and the world. China had for a long time led the world in terms of development, but since modern times, it fell behind. It suffered multiple aggression and had to cede land and pay reparations. Since then, building a strong modern country has been the dream of the Chinese people, and generations of Chinese have made relentless efforts to realize this dream, but they did not succeed before the founding of the CPC. In 1921, the CPC was founded. It led the Chinese people in a 28-year struggle to overturn the reactionary regime and to establish the People's Republic of China and the socialist system. They laid the fundamental political premise and institutional foundation for modernization. Through more than 20 years of work, up until the reform and opening up of 1978, China established an independent and relatively complete industrial system and national economic framework, laying the foundation for industrialization and modernization. Since the launch of reform and opening up, the CPC has stayed committed to taking economic development as the central task, deepening reform, expanding opening up, and developing socialism with Chinese characteristics. We have achieved a historic transformation from a highly centralized planned economy into a socialist market economy, bringing with vitality, and from a country that was largely isolated into one that is open to the outside world across the board. We have achieved a historic breakthrough from a country with relatively backward productive forces to the world's second-largest economy, and made the historic stride of raising the living standards of people from bare subsistence to moderate prosperity in general, and then toward moderate prosperity in all respects. Since the 18th CPC National Congress, China has achieved historic accomplishments and transformation. Nearly 100 million poor rural residents were lifted out of poverty, and the goal of building a moderately prosperous society in all respects was achieved within the set time frame. Our economy accounts for 18.5% of the world's grain output, ranks top in the world, and the number of permanent urban residents account for 64.7% of the world's population. The manufacturing manufacturing sector and foreign exchange reserves are largest in the world, and we have built the largest high-speed railway and expressway networks. We have made major progress in airport, ports, water conservancy, energy, information, and other infrastructure. National R&D spending ranks second in the world, and our R&D personnel the largest in the world. China has joined the ranks of the world's innovators. At the 20th CPC National Congress, it was proposed that from this day forward, the central task of the CPC will be to lead the Chinese people of all ethnic groups in a concerted effort to realize the second centenary goal of building China into a great modern socialist country in all respects, and to advance the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation on all fronts through a Chinese path to modernization. It was decided that to build a modern socialist country in all respects, we have a two-step strategic plan to basically realize socialist modernization from 2020 through 2035, and then from 2035 through the middle of this century to build a great modern socialist country that is prosperous, strong, democratic, culturally advanced, harmonious, and beautiful. The Congress also made a series of strategic plans and major decisions. Based on decades of exploration and practice since the founding of New China, especially since the launch of reform and opening up, as well as the new breakthroughs in theory and practice since the 18th National Congress, the CPC has succeeded in advancing and expanding Chinese modernization. General Secretary Xi Jinping has expounded on the Chinese characteristics, essential requirements, and major principles of Chinese modernization and developed a system of this theory. He pointed out that Chinese modernization is socialist modernization pursued under the leadership of the CPC. It contains elements that are common to the modernization processes of all countries, but it is more characterized by features that are unique to the Chinese context. First, it is a modernization of a large population. This is a key feature. For more than 1.4 billion people to achieve modernization, a number larger than the combined population of all developed countries in the world today, it is unprecedented in human history, and it is more difficult than ever. Second, it is a modernization of common prosperity for all. This is a defining feature and also distinguishes Chinese modernization from that of the West. Chinese modernization is not capital-centric, but people-centered. Development for the people, by the people, and the fruits are shared by the people. We resolutely prevent polarization and prevent falling into the middle-income trap. Third, it is a modernization of material and cultural ethical advancement. It is about not only material abundance, but also cultural ethical enrichment. It is a noble pursuit for Chinese modernization. We need to prevent materialist expansion and cultural impoverishment, and to make sure that the people will always be ready to strive in unity, to forge ahead, and to pursue healthy ideals. Fourth, it is a modernization of harmony between humanity and nature. A key feature is to respect nature, follow its laws, and protect it, to achieve harmony between man and nature. We resolutely oppose plundering of natural resources and undermining the ecology. We will continue to pursue a model of sound development featuring improved production, higher living standards, and healthy ecosystem. Fifth, it is a modernization of peaceful development. Chinese modernization does not follow the old path of colonialization and plunder, nor the crooked path of seeking hegemony as a country grows in strength. We follow the right path of peaceful development. We rely on the hard work and innovation of the people to develop the country, and will strive to provide support and assistance as we can to developing countries. There is no fixed model of modernization. The best model is what suits oneself. However, for a long time since modern times, modernization seemed to mean westernization, and to achieve modernization, it seemed that we must follow the path of the Western developed countries. But the CPC is committed to independence and to pursuing its own path. Based on its own ideals and basic system, it draws on the fruits of human civilization created by other countries and regions, including Western countries, and has led the people in exploring a Chinese modernization path. In just decades, we finished an industrialization process that took developed countries in the West hundreds of years. and we were able to create the miracles of fast economic development and long-term social stability. Practice has shown that Chinese modernization is a viable and steady way forward, and it is the only right path to build China into a strong country and achieve national rejuvenation. Chinese modernization busts the myth that modernization is westernization and has created a brand new model of modernization for the world. It shows a new path for developing countries to achieve modernization and provides China's solution for humanity's exploration of social systems. It has created a new form of human advancement, and its unique approach to the world, its values to history, civilization, democracy, and ecology, as well as the great practice it entails, serves as an important, innovative approach to the theory and practice of the modernization of the world. China's practice fully shows that the world's civilizations are diverse. There is no cookie-cutter model to modernization and no one-size-fits-all approach to modernization. Achieving modernization is the right of people around the world and an inevitable choice. The key is to find a path that fits the national conditions and the laws of human development. Thank you. Thank you, Executive Vice President Xie Chuntao. Ladies and gentlemen, as President Xi Jinping pointed out in the congratulatory message, realizing modernization is a relentless pursuit of the Chinese people since modern times began. It is also the common aspiration of people of all countries. State Councilor Qin Gang has also mentioned in his keynote speech that Chinese modernization is conceived in China, and the opportunities it brings belong to the world. Let us join hands to build a brighter and better world. The opening ceremony now concludes. Thank you for your attendance. We now will take a tea break, and at 10 o'clock we'll have the first session. Thank you.